All right, episode 4 of Yeoman's Work. It's February 10th, 2022. The NBA trade deadline has come and gone. I'm Joel. I'm here with Taylor.
Howdy.
And I think we should start with the blockbuster trade, the big one. Brooklyn Nets trade James Harden to the 76ers for Ben Simmons, along with other things. But what are your initial thoughts on this?
I thought it was an excellent trade. I'm surprised it happened so soon.
For who?
For both teams, I think the pairing of Joel Embiid and James Harden is going to be a good duo in the East. And the Sixers were able to keep Matisse Thybulle and Tyrese Maxey. And, I'm sure they wanted to offload the contract of Tobias Harris, but that starting five is going to be pretty serious. And they have a decent bench they can work with still. It was a great trade for the Nets. They got Ben Simmons, who's still, a great defender, amazing playmaker. A young gun, still has time to develop, even though he, has shooting qualms that we've complained
And he
about.
choked in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, if he can fix his free throw percentage and hit a couple mid-range shots and stay as a slasher, it's a good trade for the Nets. They got draft capital. They got 2 first-round picks, I believe. They got Seth Curry, great shooter.
I like that
with
addition.
Joe Harris being down. With the questionable 3-point shooting on the Nets already, without Kyrie and KD's scoring output, it's a great pickup.
Yeah,
And you really if as a Nets fan, you should look at it. You didn't have many bigs. So getting Andre Drummond, with all his flaws, still a good rebounder.
Yeah, I definitely like the throw-in players. Seth Curry is he's a really good player. He's a great shooter. Obviously, he's not the best Curry brother, but we'll take him. Yeah, I really, I know I said yesterday or 2 days ago I would be sad or mad if they gave anything to Philadelphia. I'm a Nets fan. I really just do not like the 76ers.
Gotta do some kind of...
But kind of, after thinking about it all day, I don't hate the trade. I think the Nets kind of won the deal. Both teams really had their hands forced. They both had to really trade both players. Harden not giving 100% effort in Brooklyn. Obviously, the Sixers are not going to get anything from Ben Simmons ever again. So, to me, they got the best. The Sixers got the best player in the deal, but obviously Harden's on the back end of his career, and Simmons is still young. I think he's 25?
Yeah, 25, 26.
So I think he fits in well with Brooklyn too. He's a great defender.
The great part about Simmons' game that I really like for the Nets is that he doesn't have to be, the spotlight doesn't really have to be on him anymore. You got Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant doing the scoring. So all he has to do is really play defense, rebound, keep slashing, and play make. And he could just be a true power forward or point forward, however you want to put it.
I concur. No, but he doesn't have to be. Yeah, he doesn't have to be a big fiddle. Scoring option.
Yeah, so.
I think it's a good fit. Hopefully, Kyrie will be full time by the time the playoffs roll around.
Hopefully, we're out of this pandemic.
Yeah, obviously the numbers are way down now. It's just a matter of
green. We're in green, people.
If what's his name, Mayor Adams, decides to lift the vaccine mandates,
it'll be only beneficial for the Nets.
Right. Yeah, so after, I got over the fact that we gave James Harden to the Sixers and Paul Millsap a little throw-in. He was barely playing for us.
Well, that gives the Sixers another big off the bench.
Yeah,
and
I still think he has some juice left.
Yeah, I think he still has, for a one-month playoff run, he still could put up some decent role playing numbers. So we'll see.
He can still rebound. I'll give him that. The Nets just didn't play him for whatever reason. But yeah, the Nets get 2 first-round picks as well. They get the unprotected one. That's not till... Oh, no. The unprotected one is the 2022 one, so this year.
Yeah.
Which is going to be obviously a late round.
And was the other one...
Or late first round.
The other one is 2027?
2027 protected.
Yeah. Well, that's good because by the time that Kevin Durant's contract's up and Kyrie Irving's off the Nets, I mean, you still can build around what you have with Cam Thomas and Duke Davis, and you still have Ben Simmons.
2027 is like, who even knows? We could all be dead by then. But
oh well. The thoughts of my co-host are not shared by me.
Yeah, darkness surrounds me. Anyway, some trades happened yesterday too, before deadline day.
Would you like me to speak on them? Because a lot of stuff has happened with those players.
Yeah, you want to go kind of in order?
Sure.
What happened?
The Trailblazers decided to fully blow it up while Damian Lillard is injured and trade guard CJ McCollum to the New Orleans Pelicans. And attached with him was Larry Nance and Tony Snell. What they received back was Josh Hart, Thomas Satoransky, Nikhil Walker-Alexander, and Didi Louzada, with 2 picks, both were second-rounders, and 1 first-round pick.
Yeah, they got a decent haul, I guess.
Decent haul. I think that trade's great for the Pelicans because they really need to lock down their guard spots while Zion Williamson's recovering from his foot injury. And Ingram is blowing up. He's becoming very good.
Yeah, Ingram's borderline superstar.
Yeah.
He's definitely a star.
And with Devontae Graham doing most of the other scoring, I mean, having just McCollum, he's a solid,
So there's
1-2 punch with Graham. I mean, the defense might be lacking because McCollum's not a great defender, neither is Devontae Graham, but I trust that, guard rotation. I mean, they didn't really give up much. Getting rid of Josh Hart. He's a great defender and role player, rebounder. But at the end of the day, it's like they kind of fleeced the Trailblazers.
Yeah, it seems like the Trailblazers didn't really get that much. But, I guess they're just trying to dump McCollum's salary.
Yeah, well, he's 30 and he's on the first part of his extension, I think. So he's getting $30 million a year. He's actually 30 years old, so
ancient by NBA standards.
Yeah, well, but I think that was a good pickup for the Pelicans. It means they're kind of serious about actually trying to compete and build around Ingram and Zion. So picking up McCollum was a good move.
I also like Larry Nance, even though I don't think he might be back by the end of the year, but he's said 6 weeks.
Nance is a solid pickup. I love Big Larry.
Nance in your pants, as I call him.
Yeah, good rebounder and defender also. So kind of lateral move getting rid of Josh Hart for them because he wasn't doing anything much. He's
playing decent, but he's a role player.
Yeah.
Lest we forget Tony Snell in the deal.
But part of that trade we'll get back to because a few of those players were moved afterward in another trade.
Oh yeah, Walker went.
Do you want to talk about? Well, before we get to Nikhil Walker and that one, do you want to get to the Kings? Made a big move that I for the first.
Yeah, we can talk.
So the Kings had the pick between De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton. We talked about this on the other podcast. We were figuring out which one they would end up trading, and they ended up trading Tyrese Halliburton.
Well, I don't think anyone thought they were going to trade Halliburton.
No, I know. Most people thought De'Aaron Fox would be the guard that they wouldn't build around, but I guess...
The Kings are not smart.
To be totally honest, again, this isn't a great time for this podcast and the trade deadline, because I'm not a big Kings fan. Obviously, Laker fan.
Who would be?
They have a really terrible organization.
Live in Sacramento and or garbage teams.
But they traded Tyrese Halliburton straight up for Domantas Sabonis, and they got Jeremy Lamb, Justin Holiday from the Pacers, and a second-round pick. And they finally unloaded Buddy Hield to the Pacers with Tristan Thompson in that Tyrese Halliburton deal. So,
well, then again, Sabonis is, I would say, equal or better than Halliburton.
Yeah.
They're close.
He was an all-star last year, right?
So if you're just looking at one
or
for
putting all-star
one,
numbers up. I think it was a fair trade. I think personally it's a great trade for the Sacramento Kings. It sucks because Halliburton's like a better point guard than De'Aaron Fox by a wide margin, better
yeah,
shooter,
I
better
think so.
defender, and better playmaker. But I mean, if they really think De'Aaron Fox is just having a slump this year and they want to really go for that play-in
Mm.
spot, I mean, Sabonis is a solid player. I mean, he does everything Halliburton does, but better and rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, Buddy Hield's a nice throw-in too
The Pacers,
for the
yeah. I mean,
Pacers. I don't know if
Buddy,
he's
he's
gonna stick
having.
around or.
I mean, they considered offloading him,
Hmm.
but probably more in the off season. I think Buddy Hield is a great pickup for them too, but he's shooting like career lows. He was doing really well at the beginning of the year, but then I read his numbers. He's like shooting 37% from the field and I think 39% from three pointer.
I'd have to check. I know he started off fairly slow, if I recall.
Yeah, but he's just a catch and shoot player. I mean, he started on the Pelicans and traded to the Kings for the
Yeah, it
Boogie
looks like
Cousins deal back in
his
the day.
scoring seems to be down this year.
But I mean, our audio listeners know this.
Our audio listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, his numbers are pretty down, but his minutes are also down as well.
So, I think it was a fair trade for both teams. I mean,
Yeah, I still think
Kings
trading
have-
Halliburton just doesn't make any sense to me, but
I guess drafting Davion Mitchell and Halliburton within
I
a year
guess,
apart.
but like when you have something good, why get rid of it?
I don't know. The Kings probably.
The Kings love making trades. They always trade something, I feel like.
But so back to the trade prior we talked about with the Pelicans and Trailblazers. Nikhil Walker-Alexander.
Yeah, where did he end up?
He ended up on the Utah Jazz and a three-team trade with
Oh, yeah, I see.
Utah Jazz, the Trailblazers, and the Spurs. What are your thoughts on that? And Satoransky got sent to the Spurs. Joe Ingles and Elijah Hughes from the Jazz got sent to the Trailblazers. And Juancho Herman Gomez and Alexander went to the Jazz. So
Well, I think Alexander Walker is a decent addition to the Jazz. He's a good role player. And sad to see Joe Ingles leave Utah. He's been there for what, like 7 years, 8 years. He's their all-time 3-point leader, I believe.
really,
Which is crazy to
I think he's
of.
only been there 6 years, 6 or 7 years.
I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure they said he was their all-time 3-point
I mean,
leader.
Ingles most likely, if he even plays for the Trailblazers next year, it'll be like 1 year.
Let's see, 1,
I don't think
2,
he's.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this was his 8th year in Utah.
Oh wow. Well, good you have the right in front of you. I did not remember that.
Well, I just heard
I
them.
remember when
I
he
heard them
got
say it.
cut.
I didn't
from
like
the-
know
I remember
that
back in the day, he
offhand.
got cut by the Clippers, and the Jazz picked him up on the flyer, and he just signed him outright. So, but Jingles is one of my favorite players in the NBA. Does all the dirty work, old
Yeah.
man. But tearing his ACL, I think the Jazz are trying to go serious with this playoff push to keep Donovan Mitchell, and I think that trade just to get a little bit younger, just in case, because Mike Conley and just having more guard depth can't really hurt. I mean, you got Clarkson.
Yeah, no, Jazz are bolstering their roster. They're trying to make a championship run.
I think that again, the Trailblazers, I wouldn't say got fleeced, but getting some draft capital is always good.
They're dumping
Salaries.
salaries.
Yeah.
They're making room, trying to get draft picks. I get it.
But
They're a mess, though.
so with that said, I mean, they
What's next? Thaddeus Young?
that was a nice little move. Thaddeus Young and Drew Eubanks, right?
I think it's Eubanks.
Eubanks.
If I had to guess.
Toronto to the Raptors for Dragic and a first round pick. I think the Spurs did it because they weren't playing Thaddeus Young, and I mean, if they keep Pirtle, which I think they did, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to get any minutes, Eubanks. So.
They waived Eubanks, I believe, already.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean.
And didn't they waive Dragic as well?
I think the Spurs are planning on waiving him or buying him out. So
right.
He's probably going to sign with the Mavericks, if any Mavericks.
Yeah, I did hear that.
But the first round pick's a nice pickup for the Spurs. I guess they're actually, moving away from Popovich's old mentality of just like.
Yeah. Well, they seem to draft well too.
Yeah, but he's not a big supporter of the young talent. I feel like
Isn't Tim Duncan going to be the next coach, or is that like not a thing anymore?
I don't think so. Anyway,
Okay.
smaller trades. Miami Heat sent a couple picks. Or no, they received a couple picks. I'm sorry.
Is this for KZ Akpala? Is this one?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know
the
who
Thunder
that is,
just
to be
needed
honest.
another big. I guess because the other ones are going to come off next year. The roster.
Yeah, it's not much to talk about there, really.
Going back to the Sabonis trade and just talking about the Kings' shit fire of an organization, I actually think offloading Marvin Bagley, who complained on Twitter constantly for the last 3 years he didn't get enough playing time, to the Pistons, I think it's a good pickup for the Pistons. He's 25 years old.
Needs a fresh start.
Or he might even be younger. He might be even 22 for all.
Marvin Bagley?
Yeah,
he's not old.
Yeah,
Let's just.
I think he came drafted young, so I think it's a great pickup for the Pistons. They're building around Cade Cunningham. Big fan of the Pistons.
The Kings get Dante DiVincenzo in this deal.
Yeah, this is a 3-team trade, or was it 4-team?
It was a 4-team, yeah.
So
the Clippers,
the Bucks, Clippers, Kings.
Oh, I guess the Clippers get to
Pistons.
unload Serge Ibaka's contract.
So Ibaka. That's a big pickup. I think great for the Bucks. I mean, Ibaka's in his 30s. The Clippers are probably, since they weren't playing him and they have better centers than Zubats and Hartenstein, I guess that contract never was really good.
Question. Do you think they wanted Serge Ibaka because Brook Lopez probably not going to play again this year?
Most likely. I mean, Brook, when you have back injuries and you're like a 7-footer, it's either the foot or back. Like the worst. They always say for big men in the NBA, the foot injuries and the back injuries is what diminishes some of their career. And
it's tough.
The Bucks are really trying to do like a 2-peat. I could see it. So they're built around Giannis with a bunch of shooters with Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton and all these other guys. So
don't say Grayson Allen to me.
But Ibaka is a solid big man. With Brook.
He isn't really doing anything on the Clippers this year. But.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I mean, it was more of a dumping of his big salary because the Clippers weren't using him. And I'm surprised that the Bucks got rid of DiVincenzo, but I remember the Kings tried to trade for him last year in the Bogdanovich trade, or he ended up on the Hawks. They picked up Josh Jackson from the Pistons and Trey Lyles. Good little complimentary pieces.
So maybe, they might be trying to make the play-in, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Kings actually... I usually clown them, but they're doing good moves. I think DiVincenzo's a good shooting guard. Still young. Josh Jackson's a good forward. And Trey Lyles is, catch and shoot big. Again, what I said about the Pistons, they're building around Cade, so picking up Marvin Bagley, young gun. With the team, they have Isaiah Stewart and Sadiq Bey. Got a lot of good young players, so they're not going anywhere this year. And, and the Bucks got Ibaka with some draft compensation. The Clippers, I feel like, were just thrown in there, and the Bucks are getting rid of Rodney.
I don't know what Ibaka's making, but I assume he's making a decent
Well, the
number.
Clippers got Semi Ojeleye and
Rodney. These are write-offs, whatever. Tax write-offs.
I mean, I don't think they're going to keep them past this year, but, I mean, if Kawhi and Paul George even make it back this year and they do go in the playoffs, I guess it will help them with more forward rotation.
I don't think Kawhi is coming. He's not the type to rush back from an injury. Let's be honest. All right, let's go on to the Celtics getting
Derek White.
Derek White.
What can I say about Derek White?
Good player.
Good player. All around. Anybody who's built in the Spurs system knows how to play basketball.
That's so true.
I mean, there's not much else I could say. He's a good guard. The Celtics needed a different guard rotation because obviously Schroeder and Peyton Pritchard and whoever else they're rolling out there, Josh Richardson, weren't good at scoring and literally were just soaking up minutes, running around, playing lack of defense.
Did the Spurs just get rid of him because he's not international?
Well, and the Spurs got Josh Richardson, who's also fairly young.
Decent.
His numbers have been going down since he's been in the league. Romeo Langford is all right. I mean, he's not going to do much. Just an athletic guard.
He doesn't get me very excited.
But they got some picks out of it. Again, the Spurs, I guess, are building without Popovich.
And they do know how to pick.
Yeah. Another minor trade. I was kind of pissed. I was hoping the Nets or the Lakers to go after Torrey Craig, but Torrey Craig is back on the Suns. Suns traded Jalen Smith and a future
I
second round
really like this for the
for the Pacers.
Pacers.
Yeah.
Although I
I
think
think Jalen Smith's a solid player, so that was a good move.
I think Jalen Smith, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be a free agent or something after this year,
And
right?
I guess they get his bird rights, so that's probably why they trade for him.
So I think they're going to give him
He has
a
the
look.
potential to be a solid power forward.
Definitely, when he got minutes this year, he showed he
Yeah.
could do something. So
Torrey
I
Craig
like
is a
that.
great defender, but his numbers are down at 3-point shooting. So
Well, it's just another piece for the Suns.
yeah,
You know, he can play D. He can shoot a little
They
bit,
needed extra.
do a little bit
players.
of everything.
So another big trade happened with another team that no one's talking about. The Wizards.
What are the Wizards doing?
They acquired Porzingis for Spencer
Why?
Dinwiddie and Bertans. Now, I feel if you're a Mavericks fan, I don't think that was a good trade. If you're really making a playoff push with Doncic, I mean, Porzingis was overpaid and injured a lot, but I still think he was having a good year so far. And Dinwiddie's having a bad year, and his contract's pretty big as well.
I heard he was like a locker room disruption, or they didn't like him in the locker room.
Yeah,
Dinwiddie?
apparently I heard that too. He was arguing with a lot of his teammates.
Which I never heard that when he was on the Nets. He always seemed like.
Bertans was a role player that shot the three really well, and the Wizards threw so much money.
He just went downhill.
And he hasn't done shit. So
Yeah.
I don't know why the Mavericks did that. Excuse my language, but
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But I feel like that was a pretty big blockbuster trade, which led to them also dumping Montrezl Harrell to the Hornets for Vernon Carey and Ish Smith, who is just
Easy,
a solid backup.
nice pickup for Charlotte.
And they got a future second round pick out of it, the Wizards.
Because who did Hayward just went down? I know it's a different position, but
yeah, but
Hayward, who knows? He has big injury history.
Yeah. They also dumped Aaron Holiday, the Wizards, to the Suns, I believe.
Yeah, minor deal, but it's just another piece for the Suns.
Funny thing I found out. The Boston Celtics traded back for Daniel Tice.
Oh yeah.
They gave up Dennis Schroeder, Ennis Freedom, as he's called now, and Bruno Fernando.
Yeah,
and
Cantor got waived.
And so did Bruno Fernando. So it was basically for Schroeder, and Schroeder might get bought out. I think it was really the Rockets are really building around Shingun, my boy, and Garuba. So I think it was more just a salary dump. They signed Tice just to have him, better impressions, all that crap. But
he played well for them when he was on them.
Yeah, he got.
Hopefully, he doesn't cut into Robert Williams' minutes again.
We'll see, but
he's having a great year.
I think that was a lateral move for the Celtics. I don't think they know what they're doing, but
yeah, at this point, it seems like they're kind of making a push. So why unload Schroeder? I guess because they won't have him next year, and they don't really think they're going to win a championship this year.
So those are all the minor moves, the big blockbuster trades in my eyes. Obviously, the Harden for Ben Simmons trade, which you were weary the other day.
Yeah, because how can you like Ben Simmons?
I think Ben Simmons is
I did like him as a player.
I think he's gonna thrive in Brooklyn. Actually,
I hope so. He's just one of those guys. I don't want him on my team, but then when he gets there, it's well, hopefully it works.
We'll see. I pointed out at the beginning of the show, we discussed that Ben Simmons, once KD and Kyrie, their contracts are up, you still have locked up Simmons.
Right.
And he's young. So, honestly, has he ever been injured, excluding the first year that he played in the league? So, you have him for a while, and you got some draft compensation, which always is good. You got 2 first-round picks after getting robbed by the Celtics here.
Right. Who could forget?
Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. But,
damn them.
But,
God.
Yeah, I think that trade and offloading, I guess, Porzingis to the Wizards. I don't know why the Wizards did that, but
it's such a weird deal. The Mavs just clearly fell out of love with Porzingis.
Yeah, I feel like that was a love-hate relationship. There was a lot of rumors that him and Doncic were fighting over who's the ball dominator dominator.
Yeah, and I guess Dinwiddie and Bertans are both on pretty bad contracts as well,
which fits the amount that Porzingis is worth. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out for the Wizards. I think they also made that move to try to convince, like, hey, we're going after big free agents for Bradley Beal before he signs his extension. But it might.
Beal's out for the year now, right?
Yeah, he has a broken wrist.
That's rough for the Wizards.
Well,
they weren't really going anywhere, but they had a nice.
They started.
They had a nice start to the year.
Yeah.
So Porzingis, he's healthy, right?
Yeah.
So that's something.
That's why a lot of like Mavericks fans probably are going to have an issue with, like, if you're making a push for the playoffs, why would you do this now? It's more of like an off-season trade you would make. I'm really disappointed in the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, I heard they tried their best.
They just didn't have any pieces, really.
I mean,
you could give Taylor and Horton Tucker, but
there was a big 3-team trade where Alec Burks, Cam Reddish, Taylor Horton Tucker, Nerlens Noel, and Dragic, and a couple of draft compensation was supposed to be moved in the 3-team trade, but apparently those fizzled out. And I kind of support Rob Pelinka because I'm going to give this year as a wash year. They're punting the year. I don't see any buyout candidates. Maybe Moses Brown, who got waived by the Mavericks.
Yeah, they lost to the Trailblazers last night. That was maybe rock bottom.
Yeah, but...
Which I don't want to rag on your team, but it was just like, really?
I think that was also... Once All-Star break comes around for the NBA, they might get rid of Frank Vogel. I think I think he's lost the locker room, and the comments he's made about Westbrook, whether you like Westbrook or not, whether Westbrook's playing like shit or not, you can't be saying that to the media the way he's been kind of subliminal throwing jabs. It's not good for morale to begin with the trade deadline coming up, but just the chemistry's not there, and you can see that he's losing the locker room. I can tell. And LeBron shrugging his shoulders. I know people rag on LeBron, but LeBron's averaging 29 points during the season.
His numbers are still there, which is
like
weird.
7 and 8. 80.
The body language says it all.
Yeah.
In the comments.
Yeah, I mean, he literally said, just leave me alone, I'm going to go drink wine last night. So clearly he's a little off-putting with his comments, but I understand LeBron.
Any thoughts on the Knicks sitting on their hands, not doing anything?
I think the Knicks are just typical. It's typical. Just like I'm disappointed in the Lakers. If Knicks fans are listening, it's typical. It's just.
Well, I think Knicks fans just wanted them to just do something.
I think
it could have been like
fans
anything.
wanted them to do something.
They're just sick of this team, and
I honestly would have taken, if you guys took Russell Westbrook off us, I would have taken Julius Randle.
At least it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Westbrook in
New York with Rose as the backup or whoever started.
Give them some juice, but at the end of the day, they're not going anywhere. The Knicks are not going anywhere. Yeah. It's probably not the Lakers.
So I guess the Knicks and the Lakers both as organizations decide to punt these years because they're not going to make a run. I mean, the Lakers might make the play-in if they go 25-something.
They should make the play-in at least.
I mean, they're 9th seed.
That's in there.
But it's just embarrassing how you go from a championship team and then 2 years later you get rid of all your defensive role players, and it's just again disappointing. That's all I can really say.
I think the Knicks didn't make a deal because no one wanted any of their players.
That's true. I mean, the Knicks we were trying to get Cam Reddish. That's what I heard, and we were being aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not getting.
The Knicks just traded for him, so.
Yeah, well, apparently Tom Thibodeau didn't want to do the trade. But
Tom Thibodeau doesn't like anyone like under the age of 24.
Yeah, so I mean, I know why the Lakers didn't make trades. They're trying to keep the draft picks, and if they're going to make a bigger trade this offseason, if Damian Lillard requests to go to the Lakers, they can now put 2 draft picks in July as opposed to 1.
Crazy.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah. That was the trade deadline. Do you want to talk about Willem Dafoe movies?
Yes, but one more point. Where do you think Schroeder ends up? Because I don't think the Rockets are going to.
I think he's going to get bought out, and there's a big rumor that he's coming back to the Lakers, which I'm not opposed to.
That would be kind of funny. But...
He was open to a trade back there. I heard we were trying to trade for Josh Richardson and him, but with Kendrick Nunn, I don't know the purpose.
We have so many guards. I don't really need another playmaker.
Yeah.
I really just want the Lakers to sign some wings. I honestly don't even know if some of these teams are going to keep some of the players they
I'm trying to
traded
think
for.
of like somewhere he would end up because he's still a pretty good player. He was having a pretty good year, but his minutes got cut.
Most teams could use him. I could even see him as a backup point guard on the Bucks
Maybe.
to Drew Holiday. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, because once he gets bought out, if he gets bought out, can he basically like choose where he wants to go?
Yeah, I mean,
So I could definitely see that.
when you're not a dumpster fire franchise,
Yeah, right.
most buyout candidates want to sign with you. So, top 5 Willem Dafoe rules.
Dude, I don't think are we gonna go 5 because if we do 5, we're
Okay,
gonna have
10.
5 of the same.
People.
No, there's not. The first one is not 10.
No, 10. 10 solid rules.
I haven't seen 10 Willem Dafoe
I
movies.
have.
Let's put it that.
I
Dude, have
have.
you seen his filmography?
Yeah.
But like, there's a movie he's in. I looked at it before. There's movies he's in, and it's like, oh, he was in that. Like,
listen.
he plays some bit
I
parts.
can name 5 off the top of my head. His roles. We're talking about roles.
Yes.
Platoon. Classic.
Okay. Great movie. That's in the top 3 probably.
Recently, The Lighthouse.
Yes.
Amazing in that.
Amazing role.
How could we forget? Like number 1.
Boondock Saints was.
Okay, throw that in there.
Gotta be number 1 role, I think.
Boondock Saints.
Not the best movie he was in, but his best like performance. I think.
Yeah, easily. Him as the Green Goblin in Spider-Man.
Amazing.
And then bringing him back for Tom Holland's Spider-Man's. I
have not seen it, but heard good things.
Incredible. Nightmare Alley. He was great.
I've never seen that. What is that about?
Nightmare Alley?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm pretty sure it's about like 1940s New York.
There's an alley, you see.
No.
And there's a nightmare.
It's about like the elite and wealthy in New York in like the 40s. Watched it with my father.
Like Once Upon a Time in Mexico is a great movie, but I'm sure he probably played like a detective or something in there, but I'm not remembering it.
The Life Aquatic.
Life Aquatic
has so many great actors.
Great movie.
But
that's more of a Bill Murray movie than like a Willem Dafoe movie. But
incredible in that too.
Incredible.
He just is a great actor. I think he gets not enough props.
So if we're going, so apparently he was an American Psycho too, but he must have had a small part in that.
He's the one who interviews him when he kills Paul Allen.
Oh yeah, that's right. Of course. So that wasn't one of his best roles, but great movie.
He was also in Mississippi.
Once we go over Christian Bale, we'll I'm sure that will make it.
He was in Mississippi Burning, which is also a classic.
Very good movie, but a little too serious. I would say his best role was Boondock Saints, the detective. He was just a complete pervert and just hilarious like lines and like just fucking with people left and right. Then it's probably between a close tie between Platoon, The Lighthouse, and Green Goblin.
Yeah, I mean,
you could go either way, so I don't think there's a need to rank them, but you can tell me what you think.
I think that's that top 5 we were talking about.
Yeah. What would you put at 5?
5?
Because you got...
It's either Spider-Man or...
You got Boondock Saints, Lighthouse, Spider-Man, Platoon, and then the 5th one is like...
Life Aquatic.
You could probably go Life Aquatic, I think.
I'd probably put that as the 5th one, Life Aquatic.
And I can't argue those. He was an Inside Man, too. Really good movie, but I don't think he played a huge, huge part. He loves playing like a detective, I feel like.
He's good at it.
He's a good detective.
I know we said that was like the last thing, but I think we should, just to finish up really quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Whatever.
I want to talk about the Brian Flores topic one more time.
Oh, yes. Before we get to that, though, I made a mistake. I said Kamara had a domestic violence thing. I think it was just a assault thing,
Well,
which is like, you know,
totally
one
different criminal activity, but
totally not as bad, but still
Charge.
not good.
totally different criminal charge.
So minor correction. Go ahead about Flores.
Well, I read this morning about his lawsuit, and it even went into that the Texans hired Lovie Smith over him.
Well, I think that Lovie Smith hired, they were going to go with Josh McCown, but then once all the Flores stuff happened, the league stepped in and was like, you can't just hire McCown with absolutely no experience.
Mike McDaniel, who's a multiracial, but those hirings came weeks after the Flores lawsuit.
That was only last week, wasn't it? Last Wednesday?
No, what, the Flores lawsuit?
That's when the news was, I believe.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
February 2nd.
We
did a show that day.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, like, if there's 36 head coach openings.
32.
Okay, 32. You would think, like, he would have an opportunity with his track record.
Right. Correct.
So, do we talk about the unacceptable reality of the situation?
Well,
we brought it up on our first show about institutional
about
racism, but how long is this going to happen? Because I did some research about, like, black coaches in the NFL, and I think it's kind of, I hate to use the word damning, but outside of, like, the Steelers, who don't really hire much new coaches.
Right, they've had, like, 3 coaches ever.
And Mike Tomlin's been, you know, their coach for...
Yeah, he's an amazing head coach.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange that other teams don't go more with black head coaches. And I heard the stat, the average, not lifespan, but, you know, of a black coach being a head coach is 2.5 years, where white coaches get an average length of 3.5 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
Whatever it was a year difference. And it's just like they seem to get fired a little more quickly. And that could tie in. I know, you know, we talked about them being like fall guys for like.
Well, I just think there's a discontent with that because, like.
You mean a disconnect?
Yeah, disconnect. I'm sorry, but like. No, I meant discontent because there's like among black coaches in the NFL, like there's only 3 coaches besides Mike Tomlin. There's like. Todd Bowles is the coordinator for a team.
There's a lot of coordinators. There's a good amount.
They never get head coaching roles,
right?
Which is an issue.
It's
weird and it's an issue because again, I went and looked at Brian Flores' track record, and the 3 seasons he was with the Dolphins, he had
a winning record, I think.
And majority of the seasons he's there, even with Ryan Fitzpatrick as his quarterback. So,
right.
And he was asked to lose. And they're making it more of an issue.
Well, that's allegedly that he was asked this, but I wouldn't doubt it. They're a pretty horribly run organization, so I could see that.
So, outside of it being, you know, NFL trying to deny that's racism, and the Giants denying the allegations that Flores thinks, you know, the only reason they gave him an honest interview was...
Yeah, the Giants covered their tracks pretty well.
Yeah.
It might have been a sham interview, but they definitely set it up. So they had they covered their asses pretty much.
So like I asked on the first show, just to finish this podcast, what is your opinion on that? Do you think he's going to actually get it after this lawsuit?
Flores? Well, it depends if he has evidence or not.
But
if he's just making these allegations without, you know, like emails or phone call recordings or something to back it up, it's kind of all circumstantial.
I mean, the evidence of Bill Belichick didn't really go far, but
yeah, but that's basically circumstantial evidence because you never know. A text message could be from, you know, Belichick's not part of the Giants organization, though used to be. That's, you know, that could have been like, just send me this text message, you know. Yeah. Theoretically, he could do that. Not saying that's what happened, but you could set up a text message. So my question is,
do you think once... do
you think he's ever going to get a job again?
Yeah.
Who knows? That's
tough.
Once
the lawsuit blows over, I mean, it's like when I asked that question about Deshaun Watson, once his allegations are gone and court cases are finished, do you think he'll have a quarterback role in the NFL again?
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
which is odd. So, like, a head coach,
It's different.
I know it's different because the athlete's way more important than the coach to a certain extent.
Well,
but, like,
yes
What-
and no, but
when
definitely
we talk about-
quarterbacks are very hard to come by, especially pro quarterbacks.
yeah, well, when we talk about this topic, I like to think of, like, was it so wrong what Colin Kaepernick did? And then this situation, you can't deny, like you pointed out, it's institutional racism. The good old boys.
Right. Well,
Well,
I don't want to get into the Kaepernick can of worms right now, but yeah, I don't know if Flores will get a job again. If he sues the NFL, I don't know. I think he's basically, by doing this, saying he's okay with never working in the NFL again. But he's kind of sacrificed in order for a change to get made, which, if it works out that way, yeah,
hope it benefits, because the
that's
Rooney
pretty
Rule
brave.
seems like very hypocritical if they're not really.
Well, the Rooney Rule isn't hypocritical. It's more, it just doesn't really work because teams like skirt around it. They kind of just find a way to, they'll interview these guys, but they know who they're going to go with.
But that's implied. That's what I'm saying. Like, why? It's just like put out there, like, let me interview this black head coach. He has a good record.
Right. It's
This
weird.
defensive coordinator did this.
I think the owners just go with, what they're comfortable with. It's going to take.
That's the word.
It's going to take
In
something.
hyphens, comfortable.
It's going to take an owner to think outside the box or maybe, go outside their comfort zone and hire a black coach, or, no change is ever going to really happen.
All right. I mean, I agree.
It's hard to end on a serious note.
Less
Whatever.
serious note. Anybody who lives in Bergen County should go to the Paramus Food Center to get an egg white and cheese.
Are we officially sponsored by them?
We should be.
It
'Cause
should be.
I got a sausage. I got basically a sausage, egg, and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Egg white on a circular roll.
Yeah, round roll. A
Round-
Kaiser roll, as
yeah,
they're
Kaiser
sometimes
roll.
known.
Really fucking good. So delicious.
From PFC?
Yeah. And it was so affordable. It was like
All right.
$6.
$6. Well, I guess everything's expensive these days, but
It's like $5.
I'm more of a bagel guy, like on a bagel, but that's
Yeah.
just me.
Well, and that's a wrap.
That's it for all right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Donate to the show.
If you like the show, please donate. We haven't figured it out yet, but
Please help.
we'll get it going. All right, see ya.